Hey guys, and welcome to the Secret Place podcast. My name is Courtney. This is the start of my YouTube channel. It is originally going to be a podcast channel, but I have not been given the okay to start my podcast just yet. But just know that it is coming soon, and it's going to be filled with lots of biblical teachings, lots of testimonies, and just whatever the Spirit of God leads me to do. So, with that said, I wanted to come on here today because I recently posted a video onto TikTok, and that video got a lot of traction, which shows me that a lot of you are curious about hearing the truth and exposing the lies that Satan has planted within this world. I know a lot of people have had experiences where they fell into the deception of New Age, Annunaki, the Book of Enoch. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the Book of Enoch is not a part of that. Hold your horses. But the Annunaki, Alien Galactic Federation, people like Dolores Cannon, and like any other person who claims to be channeling anything outside in outer space and things like that. I am here to expose that. Things like Christ consciousness and the deception of becoming or being a starseed. So I want to get this video started today by saying thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more, of course, hit like and subscribe to the channel so that you can always be notified. And yeah, let's get into it. So I first came across this stuff when I was in my stages of rebellion against God, which is unfortunate, but that's really how we all start. Like, none of us starts out just being outright saved. Like, we come from a rebellious stage in our lives, and then God saves us, we get reborn again, and then we get on the right track going back towards him so that we can end up in heaven and not hell, being tormented by these demons that everybody is being deceived to believe are actually good people. So I want to say that I started when I dove into the Book of Enoch. And that's why I say what I say about the Book of Enoch, like it's not biblical, because the Book of Enoch is actually the beginning of you falling into deception. Because you read that book and you're like, wait, this actually makes so much sense. Like, they're talking about the giants, and they're talking about the fallen angels, and who helped show humans how to create swords and makeup and all this stuff. And not once does it foreshadow Jesus or give any like revelation about Jesus, which is what the Bible essentially does in every single book. Every single book is a representation of Jesus, the coming of Jesus, the foreshadowing of Jesus. It's centered around Jesus. And the Book of Enoch does not do that. It teaches you the things of this world, which are, let's look into the cosmics, and let's look into Annunaki, and let's look into alien beings and the Galactic Federation War and things like that. But it's really just all deception. So yeah, I started with the Book of Enoch, and that piqued my interest because I was like, this is very interesting, because honestly I don't remember them talking about like who the Nephilim were like in depth in the Bible, and it's for good reason. It's for our protection. God did not want us knowing about that stuff, because he knew once you found out about that stuff, it was a gateway, it was a doorway for the enemy to further deceive you. That's why. That's what the Book of Enoch is. If God wanted Enoch to have a book in the Bible, he would have put the Book of Enoch in the Bible. He didn't want that book in the Bible because, first of all, who inspired it? Because it ain't God. It's not God. Anything that God inspired is in the Bible. So the Book of Enoch is not inspired by God. It's inspired by man. It's a bunch of theories and things that people come up with. And honestly, I think that is someone who is in like a deep connection with Satan, who actually came up with the Book of Enoch to help push that narrative and further deceive the people away from God. So started there, and then I fell into like conspiracy theories and things like that, like looking into music videos and seeing like all the demonic activity. And one thing I noticed, like even with that, is that you're getting breadcrumbed. Like you're not getting the full like explanation, you're not getting the full gist of it all. You're being breadcrumbed so that you can come back for more. It's almost like the beginning stages of an addiction. Like Satan, he's like, oh, let me breadcrumb you. Oh, you see that? Like, yeah, that's evil. Like, go ahead and look more into it. Like, look more. Like, what about this? Oh my God. Like, and then all of a sudden you just have all these things like popping up where you're like, oh, I gotta look into that. Let me save this to my save videos on YouTube. Let me read into this. And like you're just falling down a rabbit hole, and you don't even notice it, because to you, you're like, I'm getting all this knowledge and like I'm learning all these things, but realistically you're just getting deceived. And it happens just as it happens in the Bible, in the like with Adam and Eve, the first created humans, because Satan has a strategy, and his strategy is the same always. He can't change. Like, he is who he is. God is the one who changes because he's the creator. Like he's God. He's the big God. He is over everything. He's the reason why we breathe, why we live, why we have everything that we have is because of God. Satan can't create anything. He could only destroy. So his strategy is to get you to question God. And once you start questioning God, his next thing is to try to make you feel like you are God, like you are at the same level of God and things like that. And then once he gets that going, that's when he's like, okay, I can deceive them. Like they've already questioned God. I can get them to believe that they are God, or that God is hiding something from them. He wants you to turn away from God. And then once you do that, he's got you. And his ultimate goal is to get you to curse God and like just be all against God and like all full of self. It's all like a game of pride. He's trying to turn you into him, basically. Because if you think about who Satan is and why he got kicked out of heaven, it's because of pride. It's because he thought that he could be on the same level of God as God, and he couldn't. So he got kicked out. So he's using the same tactic that got him kicked out of heaven against you, so that you never make it to heaven. Like, yeah, it's like he's a sneaky, snaky little slime ball. That's exactly why a serpent was used to describe. That's why he used a serpent to do his work, because that's exactly who he is, a snake. But yeah, once I got into like the music videos, conspiracies and things like that, you guys know the Illuminati, like the secret societies, the what is it called? Y'all know the that thing that they go to where they worship the owl, all that stuff. I was going deep into that stuff until like one day I was just like, I'm kind of tired of looking at this stuff, because it's all, like I said, it's breadcrumbing and it's all the same. Really, it's all the same. Like, it's just like, okay, like I'm seeing that this is evil. Why do I want to keep putting images like that into my mind? Like, why do I want to keep feeding myself that? Because there's an agenda that Satan has against you, and he's trying to get you to fall into it. So once I stopped looking at that stuff, that was when I started looking into other things, and I started seeing like a bunch of he saw that I was trying to pull away, so he made a way to like sneak videos by Billy Carson, Dolores Cannon. There's this other guy, he's like a channeler or whatever, and he like talks like an alien or something like that. I can't think of his name, but if you know who I'm talking about, he's like this bald guy, and he like does like the talking, and he'll tell you like, oh yeah, I talked with this alien is talking through me or whatever. I'm sorry guys, the sun is like in my face. I don't know why I positioned this way, but we're just gonna have to go with it because I'm not restarting. But yeah, like I started looking into that stuff because my whole point of falling down this, I'll just be transparent with you guys. The whole point of me falling into it was because I grew up in a church. Like I grew up around people who were religious and things like that, and I didn't see a great representation of who Jesus Christ was. The representation that I was given of Jesus was that on Sundays you act nice, you act good, you praise God, you scream and shout, you pass out, you cry, and things like that. And then after church is over, you go back to living the same way that you were. You're cussing, you're smoking, you're drinking, you're doing everything that is against God. You're being sexually immoral. It was just too much, where it was like, but when you did something wrong, you were condemned for, like, oh, well, hell is real and God is real, and if you don't get it right, you're gonna go to hell. Like, it was just stuff like that, where it was like people were not practicing what they were preaching. So I was like, I don't want anything to do with this, like, church Jesus stuff, because clearly, like, something ain't right, because either Jesus is not real or you guys are faking it, because there's no way. That was just like my whole mindset was like, there's no way Jesus is real and y'all act like this. Like, y'all still act the same. And that's like to this day, like, people still act the same, even though they go to church on Sunday and they go to Bible studies and things like that, but they still act the same. There's no transformation. So it really put me in a position where it was like, I'm questioning, like, what is this Christian stuff? Really? Like, it was like, what is this Christian stuff? And I had to go down the dark path myself and, like, try to find the truth. I was like, I know that there is a God. I know that there's a God, because if there wasn't a God, none of this stuff would be functioning in the way that it functions. Like, everything functions way too perfectly for it to have just been a coincidence or just an explosion in outer space, you know? So that was like my mindset, and I was thinking about that, and I'm like, nah. So that's what made me initially start going down the rabbit holes and things like that. At some point, I was looking at Dolores Cannon and them, and I started agreeing with that, because I'm like, yeah, like, this makes perfect sense. You know, the new age stuff with the laws of attraction and, like, the universal things and stuff like that. I was like, this makes sense, until it didn't make sense. So now it's like, now it's not making sense, and I'm trying these things. I'm meditating and I'm doing the affirmations. I am, but realistically, I'm feeling like there's something missing. Like, it's something that's just not hitting where I needed to hit for me to fully believe that this stuff is real. So then I started going into the Anunnaki stuff, and I remember reading the Anunnaki stuff, and it just was not making sense. It was not making sense. So I never read the Bible in full, but I knew parts of the Bible. And I very vividly remembered reading the Anunnaki story and reading about how Enki and Enlil were. And Enlil was supposed to represent God, and Enki was supposed to represent the serpent. And the serpent is supposedly the one who was helping mankind by telling them to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge and good and evil, to help them, because if they didn't eat from that tree, then they were going to be under the control of God. When, if you read the Bible, God gave Adam and Eve every single thing that they needed in the garden. He even gave them a choice. So if he gave them the choice to choose the tree of life or the tree of knowledge and good and evil, but he did warn them, like, if you eat this tree, you'll die. Like, because he knew, like, if you ate of this tree, if you choose this way, you're gonna welcome death into the world. But if you choose this way, this is the way to life. It's just like our days now, where it's really choosing between God and choosing between Satan. There is no in between. So Satan manipulated that story into making God seem like he was trying to control them, when realistically it's him that's trying to control you. Because once you eat of that tree of good of knowledge and good and evil, you're under Satan's control. Now Satan has access to your mind, and because he has access to your mind, you can't think properly. Your mind is always going on this spoke of, I gotta find more information, I gotta find more information, I gotta find more information. And he's constantly feeding you bits and pieces of this little information, except the information is never fulfilling, it's not true, and it's all to increase your ego. It's never to help you. It's never ever to help you. But God's side is actually beneficial to that. He won't feed your ego. He'll tell you. He's gonna check you and hold you accountable. Like, you shouldn't have ever did that. That's not something you should do. Now you have to reap the consequences of what you did. You have to, like, it's just so obvious now that my eyes are open and I see the way that God sees it, and like how God does not want us going near that stuff, like I can see it that much more clearly. And that was like the story with the Annunaki. It's like, oh, Enlil was the one who was trying to basically hold humans hostage, while Enki was trying to help humanity by telling them like, yeah, this is what's good and this is what's evil. And then I went further into the story where it was talking about the flood, and it said that Enlil wanted to kill humanity because humanity was making too much noise. He wanted to kill humanity just because humanity was making too much noise on earth, disturbing his sleep. So because he was trying to kill humanity for that reason, Enki went and found Noah and told Noah to build an ark so that he can save some animals in his family so that they don't die after the wrath of Enlil. Come on, like that don't make no sense. Like, when I read that, I was like, I never fully believed it. I was like, this actually sounds made up. Like, it sounds like a made up story. And then I go further to the war in heaven, which is ultimately the war against Satan and the other angels, because he was trying to get the third of the angels to he got the third of the angels to turn against God, and then you have the angel Michael. But they flipped the story and made it where it's Enki and Enlil fighting against each other, and Enlil got so upset that he ripped the penis I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, I'm so sorry, but he ripped the private parts. YouTube, please don't flag that. He ripped the private parts of Enki off, and then Enki did the same thing, and it was just a bunch of heresy. I was like, this sounds stupid, but people are believing it. And like, when you go further into these stories, none of it foreshadows a savior. None of it foreshadows Jesus. None of it is giving you keys to life. None of it is telling you how to deal with things when you're feeling discouraged, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling anything. It just never gave you that. It was always just a story to tell humanity how Satan was the good guy and God was the bad guy. Period, point blank. There's no depth to it. That's it. So I read into that and I was like, this sounds kind of stupid. So then I go into Thoth, the Atlantean, because I'm like hearing Billy Carson talk about it, the Emerald Tablets. Anybody who knows Billy Carson, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. So I go and look into that, and I'm reading the Emerald Tablets, and that also just sounds like a fabrication of what the Bible is. I'm looking at it, and he's calling himself all. That's all he calls himself, is the all. Like, I created everything, and I did this, and I did this, and X, Y, and Z, the Egyptian God. So then I'm starting to like put the puzzle pieces together, because the Egyptian gods have like Ra, they have Iris, they have the Sphinx, they have all these things. And I'm looking into it, and I'm like, this also just is not making sense, because ultimately I'm looking for Jesus. I'm looking for Jesus. Like, I know that God is real, but I'm looking for Jesus in all of this. Like I said, I was looking for the truth, and that stuff was giving me a false truth, which left me questioning more. It's like, and that's the red flag. It's like, when you're looking for something and you just have to keep questioning it, something's not right. And that's what started to wake me up about it, because I'm like looking into it, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of sounds like it makes sense, but at the end of the day, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, it was just like a bunch of heresy. It sounded like a bunch of made up stories. So took a break from that stuff. I started dealing into like New Age, and like, honestly, I don't want to get too much into my testimony, because my testimony is going to be longer, and I really have to keep that sacred to me and God right now. But I will give you guys just a little bit. Like, I was dipping into like New Age stuff, because everybody's like, oh, this New Age, like the crystals and you align your chakras, and that's when I fell into the Christ consciousness thing. So I'm looking into Christ consciousness, and they're talking about, I'm like, maybe this is where I find Jesus, because Christ consciousness is talking about Buddha, and then it's talking about how Jesus was like this ascended master or prophet or whatever. And the Bible leaves out where Jesus was. Like, there's a gap in the Bible about Jesus's like childhood life and things like that. And this is coming from Billy Carson as well. He's talking about, oh, where was Jesus before he, like, after 12, from the years up until 12, and then you meet him again when he's like 30, something like that. And I'm like, yeah, actually, where was Jesus? So that's what, like, the whole point was for me to find Jesus. And like, I'm just like looking through this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I'm looking at the Christ consciousness stuff. I'm like, okay, so I need to do yoga. I need to align my chakras so that I can now go ascend up, so that I can reach that level where Jesus is, apparently. And even as I was looking into that stuff, it's like God was with me. Like, he was with me the entire time. It's like he was showing me everything that the enemy was doing, while also keeping me protected from it in a way to where I didn't fall too far down the ladder on this. But yeah, and then I started looking into that in like the Gnostic point of view. And I was looking at stuff where it was like, oh, Jacob's ladder is actually talking about your spine, and how like the snake like wraps around it, and then once it reaches your crown chakra, that's when you finally ascend, and like you receive the light, and now you're a light being, and things like that. And it was just like all this cosmic like trash. Like, really, it was all cosmic trash, and it's all like pointed to self-worship. That's what I noticed with that. It was all about self-worship, and it's all based off of pride. Like, it's like I was in it, but I wasn't too far in it. Like, I did get prideful about it, because I felt like, oh, like I know all this stuff, and like I'm getting all this knowledge. And that's why I say, like, people who fall into that stuff, like, they fall into that stuff and they receive that spirit of pride without even knowing. Because once you're in it, you truly believe that you know more than anybody in the world, and everybody else around you is sleepwalking sheep. Like, they're just sheep, and you're like the one who stands out because you know this knowledge and you research these things, but you're not realizing that you're just being breadcrumbs, and that you're not getting the full truth. You're just getting what the enemy wants you to believe, like, basically. And it's essentially trying to turn you against God and keep you trapped on that road of deception. So if you know, like, a lot of spiritual people, like a lot of people who talk about Christ consciousness and New Age, and like the Anunnakis, and like Thoth, the Atlantean, and like the Book of Enoch, they're very prideful and narcissistic, because they think that they know more than you, because they researched and they read the books and things like that. So it's just like the craziest thing. Like, I just to this day, I can't believe I fell into it, but I'm glad that I did, because I get to be here, sitting here telling you guys about it, so that you don't fall into it too. It's all a setup and a trap for the enemy. He gets you to question the authenticity of God. He gets you to question the realism of God and the realism of Jesus. And once you start questioning that, then he starts telling you, like, you are God. Because I remember when I would just walk around and say, like, or I wouldn't walk around, but I would post, like, you guys, you are gods, and like, you can heal yourselves, and you don't have to be in this situation, and things like that. He gets you to like believe that you don't have to work, like you're not supposed to be working, the society is against you, like they're poisoning us with this information. They're using the Bible to control us, and the Bible contradicts itself, and none of it's true, and Jesus didn't really exist, and it doesn't make sense, and all this stuff. But it's realistically you gaslighting everyone else. Because like the Christians always warn you. They might not warn you in like the best way, but they will always warn you and tell you, like, yo, this is not, like, this is deception. Like, you believe in something that's not true, right? And the person who's into that stuff, they'll tell the Christian that they're crazy and that they're lost and that they have no idea what they're talking about, when realistically the one that's lost is them. They're gaslighting the Christians into believing that they're the problem, when realistically the person that's the problem is the person that's believing that stuff and spreading that news to everybody else to deceive them as well. It's all just you being used as a tool by Satan to spread his message around so that you don't make it to the kingdom. And then God is sending his people to you to tell you, like, yo, you're going down the wrong path. Like, you're headed towards danger, and you turn around and tell them, like, you're lost, you're crazy. But they actually have the light that you're trying to have because you think that you have a light, but realistically it's just a false light. It's a false light. Like, it's not real. And so many people fall into this, and it's so sad because, like, they get so sucked into it. And now I'm seeing things about Sophia Christ, and I'm like, bruh, like, y'all can't believe this is real. Like, I guess Sophia Christ, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know too much about it, because I just don't even touch that stuff because I know where I came from. And I'm like, like, I'm perfectly fine right here with Jesus. But Sophia Christ is supposedly, like, sent here to bring forth Jesus or something like that. And people are actually believing it. And I'm like, dude, this is just the enemy deceiving y'all. Like, he's trying to downplay the power of God. And, like, everything, it always gets people to, like, question. I'm sorry, my back is itching because of my sports bra. But he tries to get people to question the power of God. Like, oh, I don't believe that God made a virgin. It doesn't make sense that a virgin was pregnant and she had never done anything and things like that. Is anything too impossible for God? I don't believe that David killed a giant with a rock. Is anything too impossible for God? Like, it's stuff like that. Like, why would there be a story of Jesus getting beat as badly as he did and murdered? Why would that even be there if it wasn't real? There's so much evidence that points to Jesus. And as I was going through all of this and, like, learning about all this stuff, eventually I just kind of, like, stepped back from it, and I was like, it's just not making sense. Like, it just didn't make sense. And I was like, I need to know, like, what the truth is. I was very adamant about that. I was like, God, I need to know what the truth is, because I can't fully commit to, like, Christianity because of how those people act, you know, and, like, how people have acted in me growing up and stuff like that. And then eventually, sure enough, like, God came through, and, like, he showed me the truth. Like, he taught, and, like, once I received his spirit, I was able to finally read the Bible. And when I read the Bible, my mind was blown. It was blown because when I was in deception, I was telling people, like, oh, the Bible contradicts itself, and, like, this verse doesn't actually mean that. But actually, when I read it in the context, all of it made perfect sense. There's no missing loopholes. There's nothing that just disconnects. It all makes perfect sense. It flows, like, perfectly. There's even, like, times where I'm like, wow, like, I don't have to keep searching, like, oh my God, I need to find more. I need to find out more. I need to find out more, because everything is right there, step by step. It gives you, like, life advice. It shows you why life the way that it is. It talks to you about, it shows you the consequences of generational curses and disobeying God, and why we have to suffer, and all these things, the importance of faith, Jesus's life, the importance of being kind, the importance of having self-control. Like, it shows you all the things that none of those things showed you. And, like, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I'm not reading the Bible's not true because it's man-made. But you're reading about the Annunaki. You're reading about Thoth the Atlantean. You're reading about Christ consciousness. You're reading self-help books. You're calling yourself a starseed. And while we're on the topic of starseeds, guys, that stuff makes no sense. Why on earth would you be a star born onto this earth, sent here from outer space to save humanity, and you have to go through, like, the worst? What it is teaching you to become an antichrist, or, like, a false Christ, because that's what Jesus did. Jesus already did that. So why would you have to do that? That doesn't make sense. You're not an alien. That's deception from the enemy. The enemy's saying that telling you that you're an alien because he's trying to morph you into one of his demons. He's allowing and because you're agreeing with it, you're allowing his demons to have access to your body. So now there's times where you're not even in control, but you think that you're in control because they play the game very, very, very well. Like, it's just so much stuff. Like, so much stuff. It's like all this, like you read into the Greek gods and it's the same thing, where the big god is like the one who's the evil one. The Egyptians, the same thing. You understand why God caused the plagues in Egypt. Every plague was representative of the false gods in Egypt. Where was Ra when there was darkness? Where was he? Where was he? Where was Iris to heal when they had those, when God caused the plague of, like, it was sickness or something. I don't remember. But yeah, like, where were these Egyptian gods to stop what God did? They couldn't. They couldn't. So it's like, like, it's just mind blowing. And like, I really want to encourage you guys to like watch and be careful the information that you allow into your headspace, because when you allow those things into your headspace, it rewires your brain into thinking for the enemy. It makes you glorify yourself. We realistically, if we're being 100% real, we can't do this life by ourselves. That's why we're suffering. We can't do this life by ourselves. Like, and a lot of the reason why a lot of people don't want to believe in Jesus is because there's boundaries that you cannot cross. But the boundaries are set there to protect you. It's set there to protect you from things that will harm you. Every sin harms us in some way, shape, or form. It harms us. And like, God's whole purpose was to protect us from that. But because Eve got deceived by the serpent and she decided, oh, I want to be like God. And did God actually tell me that? Nah, she wanted to do her own thing. And then when it came down to taking accountability for it, they blame shifted. Oh no, it was her. You created her, God. Oh no, it was the serpent. You created that, God. It was always to blame God for what they did instead of them taking accountability for it. And Satan is the person who throws the rock and hides his hand. That's why God cursed the serpent. He handled the serpent with all types of wrath. But with Adam and Eve, he cursed them, but he also treated them with grace. He said, really, they cursed themselves because they took of the tree that they weren't supposed to take of. But he also clothed them before casting them out. He didn't just send them out there naked. He clothed them. Even though they disobeyed him, he clothed them. And then you see it again with like their child, generational curses. They can't take accountability, and neither can their child. Cain, where's your brother Abel? Am I my brother's keeper? Oh no, God, like, why are you doing this to me? Oh, okay. And God, guess what? Even though he spilled the blood of his brother, God still marked him so that he would not be murdered while he was being a wanderer. Like, Satan's entire plan is to push that information out to you guys, get you to believe that the Bible is fake, because he knows that once you open that Bible and you say, Lord, I want to know the truth, Holy Spirit, lead me as I read through these texts. He knows that once you do that, it's a wrap for every single lie that he told you. It's a wrap. Like, it's over for Satan. He has nothing after that. And that's the whole plan, is to keep you away from God. Because he knows once you start reading about God, then you're going to get to know why God allows things to happen, why this happens, why God loves us so much, and all kinds of things, why we were created. You're gonna start seeing that stuff, and the Bible is gonna start coming to life for you, because the Holy Spirit is going to be ministering to you as you read it. And Satan doesn't want that, because once you go to God, that means he's lost the soul. And when he loses a soul, he's lost a whole generation of people, because no longer can he torment bloodlines once somebody turns away from his ways and follow the ways of God. Like it's all a scheme to like keep you trapped in like a cycle of repetitiveness, in a cycle of sin, in a cycle of things that destroy you. And God is the one who's standing there like, come home to me. Like, you want to know the truth, baby? I got you. I'm right here. I'm right here. And Jesus is like, I'm ready to set the chains, like break the chains off of you. Like, you don't have to deal with this. You don't have to deal with depression. You don't have to deal with worthlessness. You don't have to deal with anxiety. You don't have to deal with, oh my God, I can't find the truth, or I need to start. You don't have to do that. You don't have to deal with addiction. You don't have to deal with like sexual immorality and the spirit of perversion. Like, you don't have to deal with that, because I'm right here and I got you. And that's something that the Annunaki, Thoth, the Book of Enoch, star seeds and New Age and Christ consciousness, none of that can teach you those things. God does. Jesus does. And Satan does not want you to come near him. So I am so glad that I got to tell you guys this stuff. I'm sure there's going to be something else that I'm going to remember, and like I will post about it. But I just wanted to give you guys some insight on the things that you are falling into. Do not fall into the deception. It's all to keep you away from the truth, and the truth is in the Bible. I don't care who talks about, oh, the Ethiopian Bible, oh, this Bible, oh, the Hebrew Bible. I don't care. I don't care. At the end of the day, the Bible makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. There's no loopholes. There's nothing missing. If you don't understand it, ask somebody who does. I'm right here, to be honest. Like, you guys can always DM me on TikTok. You can DM me here on YouTube. I think if that's like a thing. Like, I will answer whatever question you need, but don't just give up because you don't understand something. Like, ask somebody who does. That's why God places his vessels like everywhere, because there are going to be people like atheists who tell you like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. God lied. No, God never lies. He never lies. Whenever you're going through something, the book of Psalm will get you through it. Like, it's so many keys in that Bible that the enemy keeps you from, but he does not replicate those. He replicates everything that God did. It makes like he was the savior and he was the one who was trying to help humanity. But nah, he's just a snake. He's just a snake. And I love y'all so much that I just want y'all to understand and know the truth. That is Jesus. Like, it's not about pushing religion. Jesus is not even religious. It's not even about religion. It's about the state of your soul and bringing your spirit to life. And the only way you can do that is through Christ. Like, Christ is the one who brings life to your spirit. Satan can't. Satan is dragging your soul down, but Christ is right there. Like, let me put my spirit into you so that you can finally live and be free and know what it's like to be free. And I'm gonna make a video also about like freedom in Christ, because that's something else that just gets so confused, and like everybody's like, oh, I don't want to be religious. I'm not religious. Me either. I'm not religious at all. Like, at all. Like, I live freely. Like, I know what it's like to truly be free in Christ and not live by like these rules of, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be dressed like that and you shouldn't. I'm not sinning. That's what life is about. It's like living freely and knowing that you love Jesus so much that you don't even want to be bothered with sin. You don't even want to be bothered with it. Like, that's what it's about. It's living sinless, but also just like living. Like, it's living. Sin ruins you. That's the whole, like I don't. I'm just so glad that I got to say this with you guys. Like, if you guys have any other questions, if you guys want to see me make a video about anything else, like you have questions or whatever, honestly, just drop a comment. Always remember, like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share, because I'm really trying to get this YouTube channel up. I don't have any subscribers right now, I don't think. But yeah, like, I love doing this. I'm willing to teach you guys whatever you want to know. Like I said, my podcast is coming. And yeah, one day I'm going to be posting my testimony as well, and I just know that it's going to help a lot of people. So I look forward to it, and I hope that you guys got something from this. I will talk to you guys later. Have a blessed Sunday. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.